So in doing this particular style of process, the first thing we have to have is connection to the real self or higher self.
Mm-hmm.
That's a given when you work with somebody. You know, when you create a session for this information, it's given that that's what's driving you.
Mm-hmm.
However, conscious awareness of that will help.
Mm-hmm.
So first thing I'd like you to do is access your positive intent here, and
Mm-hmm.
then see what it has to say just as a starting point, not to comment on the process, because the real self and the higher self don't comment on the process. But there's an energy. See if you can speak for it.
It's saying, you've asked, we want to practice discernment. It's something, a life skill I'm working on. And it's saying, here it is. Let's do this. We can do this. And
Okay, that's not the higher self.
that's not.
Nope.
Hmm.
Is a disguised. This is the purpose of this kind of meditation work, this kind of process work.
Yeah. Mm.
We want to. All I had to do was hear the verb. Okay. Real self and higher self don't want to do anything.
Yeah, because there's an energy of some sort of action they're going
Right.
for. Mm.
So
Mm.
this is the ego wrapped in the mantle, in the cloak.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Which is great because the ego is in 182, you're working with three voices. You can only work for three voices at a time. One
Mm-hmm.
of them is your divine positive intent. The other is the ego, because the ego is going to speak for the other voices, got to be on board.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the third is whatever voice you want to work with. So if the ego is pretending to be the real self,
Yeah.
then we don't work with the third voice for the moment.
Yeah, because we've got to
We
untangle
got to
those
fix
two.
this.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is great. So, Sir Ego, Madam Ego,
Mm-hmm.
I accuse you of wrapping yourself in a higher self cloak.
Yeah.
Would you like to say a few words?
It,
Oh no, not it. Oh no.
I,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. So just
I
breathe
really,
for a moment.
yeah, I
Mhm.
really want to be a better person. And
Yes,
mhm.
I really want to be a better person. This is a positive intent. It's just not divine positive intent.
Yes, it's the ego's positive intent,
Mhm.
right? Mm-hmm. Hmm.
So I don't mind talking to the ego. I'm just declaring that that's what we're doing.
That helps. Yeah, because I thought that was my divine real self.
And we'll get there. Imagine this. Imagine you've got a room full of kids and they're all full of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is going to talk first and one of them is going to hold the floor longer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The trick with this process is to hear that one out,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
not shut it up looking for the most important voice or who should speak first.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just let this voice speak. We just want it identified.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I really want to be a better person.
Yeah. I really want you to have loving communications with others that aren't based in hostility. And I want us to live a life that's rooted in compassion for others and not live me against the world or me against others.
Okay. What's going to happen if that doesn't happen? What are you fighting against?
Shame of not being that, shame of imperfection.
Okay.
Guilt for acting in a way that could have been better.
So you can see now why this is not the voice of the real self.
Yes, it's got the other side of the dumbbell there.
Yep. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm.
So it can be very subtle sometimes, but that desire for is a running away from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
I didn't realize that it's driving the bus here.
Yep.
It's driving away from that whole shame and guilt of imperfection.
Yep. So I'd like to try to give you a taste of the actual real self, higher self. Let me distinguish the two.
Mm-hmm.
Higher self, and these are not precise technological words. Higher self represents the entire spirit plane. It's your access to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a communal reality, higher self,
Mm-hmm.
an awareness. Real self is your unique spark. So the spirit world has its plan, and you've got your place in the plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So higher self is like the ocean, I'm the wave. The real self is the wave.
That's what, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter which one you connect to, neither one of them has shame.
Mm.
Okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At the risk of offending some people, higher self is the easier to access because it's not personal. And you don't have to take responsibility for your peace.
Mm.
So a lot of people will just go to the generic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My drive, my personal emphasis is to find you because you can really do something with you. Higher self is just so that's nice. It's wonderful that the ocean's out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But either one will do because neither one of them has shame. So I'm going to invite you to connect to a part of you that sees shame, but just doesn't stick to it, not attached to it.
Yeah. Yeah. That part says just be human, just allow humanness and allow others to be human.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that's right or wrong. So long as there's like, it's just being you, just being human and
Right,
allowing for imperfection to be there.
right.
And it also says you're just perfect, even in that imperfection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's. We worked with. We've been working with some of the guides' phrases of it's hard to understand this in words, and I know you're not going to get it, but let's try. We do analogies, but the perfection of imperfection is that is reality. You are currently in development.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. If you wish to call that imperfect, feel free. I don't think spirit uses that term.
Yeah.
Okay. Because imperfect is already dualistic.
Yeah. Hmm.
You wouldn't call a child imperfect because it wasn't an adult yet. You
Mm-hmm.
don't call an adult imperfect because it's not an elder yet.
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So the choice of words is the ego's desire to separate and distinguish, which creates the problem kind of in the first place.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I see that.
So we have found the real self. Let's go back to the ego.
Mm-hmm.
Invitation is going to be let the ego protest this. Just hear it protest.
Yeah, it has a lot to it's protesting, and it's saying that this woman,
Pause. I get
uh
it. So just notice the protest. The ego wants to ground in reality because that's all it's got.
yeah.
So I'm going to suggest something here. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to suggest that we close this particular segment
Mm-hmm.
and let it sit a bit
Okay.
so that you can go back and forth with the two. Would that be okay?
Yes, yes. Between the real self and the ego, let them just be. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The ego doesn't like being in beta.
No,
It's
it does not.
no, because yeah, it really does not want to be beta. Like wants to be
Mhm.
complete, and yeah.
Right. And so it builds the argument for this is wrong, and so there must be a right.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it's a perfect example of how the process is about separating the voices and making sure you've identified them correctly. Otherwise, you've got the ego driving all the rest of it
Mm, yeah.
from a dualistic perspective,
Oh
from
yeah,
a
that's yeah.
let's fix it perspective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
There's that charge, yeah.
Yeah. So can we leave that complete for the segment?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thank you for experimenting with me.
Yeah, that was really great. Thank you.
Okay.